This video was brought to you by my wonderful patrons, such as Eve, Baticus Belmont, and Dreaded Cypher. Thank you all so much, and if you want to support the channel, consider sharing the videos around and supporting my Patreon. Now on to the main event!
Kamen Rider Double! この後スタート!
Kamen Rider Double is one of the most universally loved and successful Kamen Rider shows ever, starting the second half of the Heisei era with a bang. This was series head writer Riku Sanjo's first tokusatsu series and his most praised work in the media, later working on Kamen Riders Fourze, Zuden Sentai Kyoryuger, and Kamen Rider Drive after this series, which are all very well liked even with their problems. With an anime sequel called Fuuto Detectives being produced, a whole bunch of new people are about to be exposed to Kamen Rider through Double and its characters, but what makes it so great, and why should you check out this series before Fuuto Detectives comes out? Well, let me present you with this Kamen Rider Double analysis. Double's plot has Detective Sakichi Narumi rescuing an amnesiac boy called Philip who is being used as a lab rat by Museum, an evil organization that sells USB sticks known as memories that are highly addictive yet give the user power. Sakichi was shot and murdered while trying to save Philip and his apprentice Hidori Shotaro, so with a case that contained the Double Driver and 6 purified Gaia memories, the two became Kamen Rider Double and escaped the base. 8 months after this incident, Sakichi's daughter Ahiko comes to eject Shotaro and Philip out of her father's detective agency, but at the end of episode 2, she decides to be their boss after discovering their superhero. From there, the show settles into its status quo, with Shotaro and Philip taking on memory-related crimes while trying to uncover what evil scheme Museum is planning. As for the characters, Shotaro is a self-considered hard-boiled detective, but Ahiko calls him a half-boiled detective. He's the Joker half of Double and can be a little goofy, but his kindness is always ready to help those in need. Shotaro is a great modernization of the Showa-era Kamen Rider protagonist, with a tragedy related to a close person or family member who dies at the villain's hands, and becoming a Kamen Rider in that moment of crisis. Shotaro is a very well-rounded protagonist, having a lot of great comedy moments, but also knowing when to take the scene seriously. As for Philip, the other half of Double, specifically the Cyclone half, he's an amnesiac boy with a mysterious access to all the knowledge on Earth, and uses that knowledge to amend for his sins after seeing his job as a lab rat hurt so many people. While Philip is a genius, he can be socially awkward, and at the beginning of the series in particular, he doesn't quite get the whole empathy thing yet, but I love how he grows from that. Not to mention, without spoiling anything, he gets one of the most saddest Kamen Rider scenes near the end of the series. Switching gears to our secondary writer, Terry Ryu is a police officer whose family was killed by the weather dopant, and thanks to a mysterious lady called Shroud, he gets the Axel driver and becomes our secondary writer, Kamen Rider Axel. At first, Axel is willing to kill the Gaia memory users to achieve his vengeance, but through the course of the series, he learns that bloody revenge won't solve anything and isn't the way a hero acts. While I'm pretty sure this intention wasn't 100% there, I do find it interesting how the police officer character is content with killing memory users who are often in the show used as a metaphor for drug use. Just some food for thought. Ryu already gets great development of learning to let go of his vengeance, but he also has a neat side arc where his relationship with Ahiko develops through funny bits. In terms of aesthetics, Double Suit is very simple yet cool looking, with a fun half-and-half form change gimmick which works most of the time, since I'm not really fond of the metal form combinations. Axel's suit looks like it could be the protagonist of its own show, but it still has the simple yet sleek design philosophy most of Double Suits have. I don't normally talk about set design in these shows, because they usually shoot on location in a Japanese city and speak for themselves, but I feel like I have to give special mention to Double set design because there's a bunch of windmills placed around the areas the characters are in, which helps with the crime in a windy city theming of the series. I'll be honest, the CGI effects are not great early on, which doesn't help that the first few episodes and a few later encounters, there's entirely CGI creatures and fights. Like, if you think Dawnbreaker's CGI is mediocre, you've clearly blinked out Double from your memory, because oh boy, we've come a long way, even if minorly. Though to give Double credit, the CGI does become a lot more tolerable and even good later on. Since this is a very episodic series, I want to talk about my favorite and least favorite episodes of Double so you can get a taste of what the show has to offer from episode to episode. For my favorite episode in Double, I'd have to say it's episodes 39 and 40, Potential of the G. It's a really funny set of episodes where the cast helps the character of the week make a movie. While it is a toku trope to do some filmmaking episodes, it's a trope I quite enjoy, especially as it leads to some funny antics. But even with those antics, it still pushes the story along to lead into the final arc. As for my least favorite episode in Double, it'd have to be episodes 29 and 30, Age Nightmare. And while the episodes aren't bad, the characters of the week suck, so for flirting with many men and the villain being pissed by this and attacking the men she flirts into dreams, which doesn't sound bad on paper, but I didn't find the character of the week funny and she didn't really learn a lesson from any of this. There is still funny bits of the main cast though, and it does push the story further, but it's still the weakest episode of Double in my opinion. Though overall, I'd highly recommend Kamen Rider Double as a starter series with how simple yet entertaining the plot progression is. While I'd always applaud this franchise for taking crazy risks and stretching the definition of what a Kamen Rider can be, it's always nice to occasionally get a back to basics series like Double to be reminded of the core heroism of the franchise.